Welcome to the world of scale modeling with Mike Ashe, where techniques, tips, and creativity come alive with dozens of tutorials, projects, tape-up reviews, and picture references to help you build better scale models and enjoy our wonderful hobby. In episode 12, building and detailing the monogram Revell 148 scale B-25J, we'll attach the 8-gun nose piece and polish the plastic.
All right, let's talk about this nose piece. There are several parts to it. It doesn't fit together very well. So all of the surface detail was lost during the sanding and shaping process of this part. And what I did on the inside was I put some blocks of plastic where the machine guns are. And then with these blocks of plastic, I carefully centered and drilled out all of the holes, leaving a little bit of space. I made the hole slightly larger than the diameter of the Master's machine gun so that I have a little bit of wiggle room. And then to prevent the Master's machine guns from falling inside here after this has been glued together, I took some Plastistruck box pieces and let me see if we can adjust the camera here. Here you can see these, and I put backstops on here. I cut off one side and created these backstops so that the machine guns would not fall all the way through. Added a considerable amount of weight, and I checked. I temporarily put the wings in place, and the balance is just right. I actually have a little more weight up front than I need, but that's okay. The other thing I did was on the lower lip area here, the plastic was pretty thin. So I added some plastic strips in here, which I super glued in place, and then carefully form fitted it a little at a time onto the nose of the fuselage. And now it fits pretty tight. The other thing is there was a lip on this side. And so what I did was I carefully and slowly contour sanded it down like this so that the fuselage, the nose piece would fit fairly close. There's still a little bit of a pump here, but it's not nearly as much as it was before. And after I super glue this, it'll be pretty easy to contour it in. So I am at the point where I'm going to add some slow set super glue all along this edge here, and then I'm going to tape this in place, and then after that glue dries, I'm going to go ahead and run a bead of medium viscosity super glue all around this seam area, fill it up real good, and then go ahead and contour it in. So I have the 8-gun nose piece glued on, and what I did was I attached it to the fuselage with 4 pieces of tape. I've already removed this piece and gone ahead and glued this area here, and it came out pretty good. Remove these pieces of tape, and we'll go ahead and finish gluing it. Put a little bit of super glue out there, and we'll go ahead and clean the tip so it doesn't get clogged up. And we'll run more super glue right along that crack line if I can get it in there.
I'm speeding the video up here to save just a little bit of time. I'm adding several layers of super glue to fill in the tiny gap between the front half of the fuselage and the nose piece. Once the glue is dried, it's time to begin the wet sanding process to contour the nose into the fuselage. Here again, I'm going to speed the video up so that we can save some time. But I think it's important that you watch the technique that I use and notice how I'm manipulating the sanding stick. It's important to work in small sections at a time so that you don't become overwhelmed by the amount of sanding and contouring that you need to do. What I'm doing is I'm going to put a little piece of masking tape around the bottom half of the forward landing gear so that it won't get damaged. Once I'm done with the initial sanding, I'll apply some silver paint around the seam line and then add more super glue on any flaws I find. I have applied a second coat of super glue over the seams, and you can see how the super glue has changed the color of the silver paint. That is also what I use as a detector for when all of the super glue has been sanded off and everything. It looks pretty good. It's still got a little bit of a ledge here, but not much, and some of that is the glue itself. So we'll go ahead and use a slightly finer grit sanding stick, and we'll go ahead and wet sand all of this smooth. Here again, I'm going to speed up the video in order to save some time. Contouring the nose piece into the fuselage is an iterative process. Sanding, checking the seams with silver paint, applying more super glue, sanding, and then applying silver paint once again, and then finding some flaws. You can usually accomplish this with 3 iterations. Notice how I'm using my thumb in order to check the seam line and ensure that the surface area between the nose piece and the fuselage is flat. One last coat of silver paint was applied. I checked for flaws and there weren't any, so we're ready to move on to the next step, which is polishing the plastic.
I had mentioned these steel wool pads previously. These pads are .0000 fine steel wool pads, and they're perfect for smoothing out plastic. The only drawback to this is you get these fine metal fibers all over the surface of the plastic. So what I do is I take some tissue and squirt it with some window cleaner, and then carefully go over and pick up all of the fine steel particles, both on the model and on the workspace underneath it. And I work in small sections so that I don't create a lot of this metal dust. And then once I'm done, I blow it out and to get rid of any fibers that may be inside here, and I think we're good to go. So I have taken the opportunity to polish the surface up here, and it looks pretty good. I've removed the tape. Now we'll go ahead and take care of the underside. So let's go ahead and get started here, and you'll see that not only does it polish the plastic, as I said, it provides a lot of residue. Right there, all that residue. So we need to be very careful and work in small sections at a time in order to polish the plastic and not spread this steel wool pad residue too far. Got a lot right in there, but we can go ahead and get that out with a damp Q-tip. Okay.
The steel wool pads also smooth out the paint that's on the surface of the model and blends it into the raw plastic so that there's no bump when you apply another coat.
You see the residue right around here. So we're going to go ahead and blow that out in there, and then we'll go ahead and clean this up, and then we'll move on to this section back here.
Here I'm using Windex and soft tissue to clean the residue from the steel wool pads off of the model and on the surface below where I'm working. Here again, we're speeding up the video to save some time. Here I'm removing the tape that I had applied when I was working on the raised panel lines which cross over the seams on the fuselage. With all the polishing complete, we are ready to move on to the next step, which is episode 13, where I do all of the masking and prep work for priming the model. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. And when you get the chance, visit our website at www.mikeashley.com, where you're going to find dozens of free PDF downloads, including tutorials, picture references, model galleries, projects, and my 5 original scale modeling books. Thanks to Ben Sound and Videvo for the royalty-free music, and happy scale modeling!